Moan in your eye.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of Peace Corner. I'm your host, Peter Soprano, a.k.a. The Sports God. To my right, D-Money Drizzy Dre.
Let's go, people.
And Dre, we were off another week, which was a little rocky in college football, but I actually want to start this episode off with a little story that pretty much every bettor that has actually bet more than once should actually feel this type of a story. So
Okay.
I was watching the game this past weekend. It was Baylor versus Texas Tech.
Right.
The spread over-under on that game was 59.
Uh-huh.
At the half, the score was 6-3.
Oh.
Yeah, 59. At the half, the score was 6-3. Now,
At the half, it was 6-3, so,
It was
so,
6-3.
so less than 10 points.
Yeah. So I'm not even thinking about, all right, 9 points, because teams could go wild in college in the second half and everything like that. 10 seconds to go in the game. The score, the over-under on the score right now is 37. With 10 seconds to go. So, like, when you're betting, you're just counting the scores. You're just saying, all right, if they score a touchdown and they run it back, that's 14. You're still under 59. You're all
Right.
good and all that stuff. So, 10 seconds to go. Baylor has the ball. They throw the ball. It's incomplete. There's like 3 seconds to go. You're like, all right, this game is over or whatever. And then you start actually paying attention to the actual game and see what the actual score is. And it's 2017. So they kick the field goal, tie the game. It goes into overtime. Now, any bettor that has bet on college football should know overtime is the worst thing if you're betting on under.
Oh, my
So-
God. Because it's a
so-
shootout at that point. It becomes a shootout.
So, all right, they go into the first overtime.
Oh, God.
Baylor goes in there. They score down first. All right, that's fine. You're at 47. Texas Tech converts a 4th and 2 at the 15-yard line to keep the drive going. They end up scoring a touchdown. Now you're at 54. You're like, all right, just everybody chill. Just calm down.
Field goal.
and yeah, field goal, you lose. So you don't want that. So, all right, so the first part, you do need a field goal or a stop by Texas Tech.
At least.
So Texas Tech comes there, they kick a field goal, so you're good. You're saying all Texas Tech has to do is stop Baylor, and you're going to win this game unbelievably with 57 when it was a 6-3 game and 37 with 10 seconds to go. Baylor comes down the field, and they score a touchdown to get at 63. So you go from 6-3 at the half to 2017 with 10 seconds to go in the game to letting them get to 63 and you lose your under 59 bet.
That's
That
fucking horrible.
is essentially how it is to be a bettor with college football.
Who fell victim to that?
I know a person that fell victim to that game.
Because sometimes you can either fall victim to it or you can get a late gift, unexpected
yeah,
gift.
exactly. But
You know, and it's funny because I'll give you an example. I have a buddy of mine that asked me a couple days ago. He said, Dre, would you touch this Green Bay Detroit game? I said, I'll like Green Bay to win. The only thing is that 4.5, 5 point spread, it's a little iffy. I don't
and
like
even went down to 3.5 too at one point.
Exactly.
I still said no.
But so I was like, I like Green Bay to win. The problem is that with these division games, especially in a division that's actually really competitive, I don't like touching those games because you never know what can happen. At the halftime, well, before the half, because you tweeted, you said, Detroit, you're playing really good for you to
Yeah.
blow this,
Yeah.
for you guys to blow this lead.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, and I'm like, wow, Detroit's really going to win. Aaron Rodgers did what he did best, came back, rallied the team back, won the game. Now, my friend, I told him, I said, if anything, look towards the over. He took it too late. He took it at 45.5. The other kid that listened to me took it at 45. What happens? He pushed.
Yeah.
The kid that ended up losing by
Lost
that half a point was furious. He was livid. He said,
Yeah.
I can't believe that
Then you get to complain about the refs and
He's
drive
like-
being continued and
He's like, I can't believe the running back ended up going for it.
Yeah.
Could have scored a touchdown, but took the knee.
And that's
was
yeah.
confused. He's furious. He's like, damn, what the fuck? Like, I don't get it.
Yep.
Like, but that's what happens. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes that's what we call a backdoor cover.
Yeah.
Again, either it's going to help the under, it's going to help you push. In his case, he lost half a point.
Yeah.
That's why people. It is very crucial to take the points early in the week, super early in the week. You know, don't be shy with it because, like I said, sometimes that could either 90% of the time I think it'll break you.
But the main thing about this is that it tells you how close that you can be on one side or the other with a bet.
Oh my
Like
God.
you're talking about a half a point off, and you're playing the whole game, and you lose by a half a point. That's how close you can be to winning a bunch of money and losing a bunch of money. And with that said, you have to take statistics into it. And just looking at the statistics, you guys may not be paying attention to it. We are. If you want a lock pick, Dre's been over 500 on lock picks. He's 7-5 this year on that. So if you want a top dog to say, all right, this is the guy, this is one we should bet on, he's been spot on with that. I've been better with NFL picks around 500, but the big thing is that I've been around 500 for upset picks.
Right.
And if you're 500 at upset picks, that means you're making money. Because when you hit on that, you're going to hit for more than you lose.
And obviously you're not going to hit all of them, but again,
hitting 5%, 50% on upset picks, you're making money.
But if you follow the layout, like he just said, you're bound to make money. Again, guys, you know, we're just approaching mid-October. You know,
season's not even halfway done.
It's not even halfway done, and we still have a lot of football to go. But again, you guys as viewers, you guys do your homework, and you guys pay attention to what we're saying. Yeah, Dre's really good with his top picks, and then, for example, if Pete's really good with his underdog picks, you know, you guys pick whatever you like. For example, I ended up giving a bonus pick, which technically didn't even count as one of the picks. A very high spread, New England minus 17.
Yeah,
you know,
and they covered.
And they covered, even though the score didn't tell the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, much closer than the score.
Much closer, but garbage time touchdown, which is exactly what happened.
With betting, it doesn't even matter. Yeah,
exactly. With betting, it doesn't even matter. Sometimes if you win by half a point, shit, I'll take it. But again, so sometimes you just have to look at the statistics. And it's all about a trend, actually. It's all about a trend. You always go with the trendiest, with the team, or if he has a lock pick that's over 500 or vice versa, my second best pick, guys. Again, these are picks that you guys take into your hands. And obviously you take this advice at your own risk.
So with that said, and with me not putting the pressure on you hitting your lock picks lately,
let's get it.
Now, what's your top pick of the week?
All right, my top pick of the week, guys, I'm going to go with Texas minus 22. Texas, they're 4-2 at home. They're playing 2-4 Kansas. They're both coming off losses against Oklahoma. Texas actually stood in the game. They hung around. They almost tied it up towards the end. They lost by a touchdown, but honestly, I
don't know if they almost tied it up, but they easily covered. But
I wasn't watching the game though. But when I was keeping an eye on the score, it seemed
they
like
were down 14.
It seemed like every time Oklahoma gave them something, they always answered back for the most part. But I mean, compared to Kansas, I feel like they did a lot better. Texas has one of the best QBs in Sam Ehlinger. He's shown the ability to destroy teams through the air as well as being effective on the ground. A home, the home team is gonna, the home crowd is gonna play a big advantage in my part. Yeah. Kansas has one of the worst ranked defense in college. And I expect Texas to put up some big numbers against them, actually. So that's my best pick. I'm going to go Texas minus 22 at home against Kansas.
All right. My top pick of the week is going to be Oregon at Washington this week. Oregon's a 3-point favorite. Washington's coming off a big week last week by actually beating Arizona, while Oregon has been rolling since that first game of the season. Since that first game of the season when they lost to Auburn, which is a game that they should have actually won, right. They've been rolling. They've been undefeated since then. And Justin Herbert has, in my opinion, has played top 3 quarterback in college football. And that's why I actually like him as probably one of the top picks in the NFL draft this upcoming year. Coming back for his last year, he's really stepped it up from what he was last year. You see what happened between last year. He was going around 65% completion rate. Touchdowns to interceptions was always good, but it took a dip down last year. He came back to college, is back up again. He's back up around 65, 70 to near 70% completion percentage. And I think that this is one of those games that all the scouts are going to be at. Everybody's going to be analyzing it down to the T, put a big microscope on him, and I think he's going to show out in this game kind of like he showed out in that Auburn game. So I got Oregon -3 for my top pick.
I like that.
So what's your second pick of the week?
My second pick of the week, I'm going to go with Stanford -7 at home against UCLA. UCLA, they're 1-5. Stanford 3-3. Stanford's coming off of an impressive win over Washington, 23-13. That was a really good win for them. UCLA is coming off of their bye. Last game they lost at home was against Oregon State, 48-31. The only win UCLA has was 6. It was actually a shootout, 67-63 against Washington State. You know that right there goes to show you. That says a lot about their defense right there. Despite the 3-3 record, Stanford hasn't been playing bad at all, and they actually had some impressive wins, in my opinion. Comparing the two, honestly, to me, this is quite easy. To me, this could have easily been my best pick, but obviously, I bumped it to second. I'm going to go Stanford Cardinals at home -7 against UCLA.
All right. For my second pick, I'm going to go with a team that I usually hate on a lot.
Oh, shit.
But one thing I have said about them, they have a good defense. And two, is the reason why I'm picking them is because I think the other team is being overrated because of what they did last week. I'm going to pick Florida -6 versus South Carolina. The reason why South Carolina, I think, is being a little overrated because of what they did to Georgia last week. They were able to pull a huge upset, and everybody's riding with them right now. Georgia has one of the best defenses in college football, and I think Florida is out to make a mission. They want to prove that they're actually for real. I've said that, listen, with the game against Auburn, that pushed a lot of people to their side and say, you know what? Maybe they are for real. I think their defense is for real, and now they got to prove to see if they can continue on that momentum. And I'm actually surprised it's only a 6-point save, and that's the reason why I'm going with Florida, because if it was like a 10-point spread, then I would say, all right, because I don't think Florida's going to put up 40 points on them or anything like that.
Right.
So, but in this type of game, I can easily see this game being like a 27-17 or something similar to that. So,
I agree.
So I have Florida -6 versus South Carolina. So what's the upset money line pick for the week?
My upset money line pick of the week, I'm going to go with Kansas State to win and cover +3.5 at home. Kansas coming off of a loss to Baylor as well as TCU, getting mauled by Iowa State. Kansas State has been holding up pretty well on the defensive side as they're holding teams to 19 points per game.
They started out the year really hot.
Yeah, which is ranked 22nd in college. Kansas will need to find more consistency in the air, but the ground game has been pretty solid with James Gilbert. And honestly, to me, I feel like Kansas State is going to win this game by playing really good defense. I see a lot of good turnovers towards the end, not only to make them cover the 3.5, but to win the game as well.
That's the orchestra walking you off right there. The producer said, cut it.
Damn.
All right, so I like that pick. My upset pick, and like I said, I've been about 500 on upset picks this year. I'm going to go to the team that I had the story about at the start of the show. I'm going to go with Baylor over Oklahoma State. Right now, they're +3. Baylor is playing well. They were able to find a way to come back and win that game after being down in most of that game against Texas Tech. They found a way to win it overtime. I think they're going to carry that momentum of winning a game in double overtime in college to now go against Oklahoma State. A lot of people are going to pick Oklahoma State because they are the bigger name, they are the bigger school, but I think Baylor is a better team. I think they're going to find a way to if you're looking for an upset this week, I think that's the perfect game to look for an upset. So I got Baylor over Oklahoma State. So with that said, now we quickly go to some fantasy football.
Any bonus picks, by the way? I mean,
I don't have a bonus pick.
No.
Did you have a bonus pick this week?
Guys, listen, I felt good about my bonus pick last time. I'm going to go with another bonus pick. I'm going to choose Ohio State -28.5 at Northwestern. This is a Friday night game, 8:30. I highly recommend you take Ohio State at the half. Actually, that's my pick. Take them at the half. Here's a good statistic real quick before we go on with the questions for fantasy. Between the first 6 games, the highest quarter that the Ohio State have been putting up numbers in have always been the second quarter. Against Cincinnati, they put up 21. Against Indiana, they put up 23. Against Miami, they put up 42. Against Nebraska, they put up 24. Against Michigan State, they put up 24. I like them at the half. The last thing you want is, I'm not saying that Ohio State can't cover that 28.5, but sometimes they do allow some garbage time touchdowns. That's my bonus pick, Ohio State at the half. And later on tonight, from Two Dudes and a Mexican, we'll tweet what that spread is.
Well, one game that I was looking at for a possible cover that I wasn't completely confident on, but it was the next pick that I was going to look at, and it had to do with UConn.
Right.
UConn is a huge underdog favorite by, I think, 22 points right now. That's a game that I think that they can cover that spread. The opponent is somebody that I don't really think that they can. I can't remember if that's a Friday night game or a Saturday night game. But, Houston. Houston is a team that, if you paid attention in social media or paid attention to news, one of their offensive linemen came out last week and he said, listen, I'm no longer on the team. It's because the coach pretty much is asking us to tank. They want to just look towards next year.
Wow.
And the thing about it is that then they went out that week and lost to Cincinnati by 15 points.
That's crazy.
So if that momentum is going to continue on, that's a big dark cloud. To say your coach is not trying to win in college, which is not like you're going to get a worse pick and get a higher draft pick like
Right.
in the NFL. He's saying, listen, we're just going to look towards 2020. You may not be totally hurt, but let's just say that take another week off and try to rehab. Doing things like that puts a huge cloud over our school. And after they lost to Cincinnati last week, I don't know if they're going to be able to cover a big spread like 22 points versus UConn, and it's going to be in Connecticut.
That's crazy.
So that's a game that I would definitely take a look at if you're looking for a bonus pick. But we had one fantasy question coming from Twitter, and it came from my boy Ryan. He actually talked about starting either Russell Wilson or Jimmy G because Jimmy G has been so hot lately.
Who's saying frame playing?
But this is the thing. I don't think it matters. You
it?
don't ever bench Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is playing as a top, probably, if not the top quarterback, a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. He has 17 touchdowns and 0
That's a good point,
interceptions.
actually.
He can run the ball because he's going to get you points rushing. He's going to get you the points in the air. There is no possible way that you ever bench Russell Wilson. I don't care who the other, unless you have him and a Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that, you do not ever bench Russell Wilson. So I don't even care who the opponent is. You don't bunch him. So that's my opinion on that. What do you think between Russell Wilson and Jimmy G?
Honestly, again, you know, a rule of thumb, I mean, you wouldn't want to bench him regardless. Me, sometimes I like to think a little bit as far as I like to dissect the competition a little bit, depending on what kind of defense they're going to face off during the weekend. But like Pete said, he's pretty right on. With Russell, you can't go wrong. Why? Because he's producing, he's showing numbers, and he's going up against solid defenses, and he has shown it too. So again, if he's hot, why would you want to bench that?
Yeah, I'm not touching that. So a couple people that I actually want to mention for fantasy this week before we head out of here. Quarterback. If you're looking for a quarterback, they aren't much out there. Like, I'll tell you that right now. But one guy that people are starting to pick up this week, Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. He's going to be going against the Miami Dolphins, and we know the Miami Dolphins are a sieve when it comes to points. So we know they're going to give up a bunch of points no matter who they're going against. So Josh Allen is that type of player that is a spot start, especially if you have a quarterback that's on a bye or if you had a quarterback that just got hurt recently. Josh Allen, I think, could put up big points for you this week. In terms of running backs, there isn't really a guy to pick up to say definitely start him, and I don't even recommend starting this guy this week.
Speaking of Josh Allen, not to cut you off, I would definitely. I mean, if you guys have Frank Gore somewhere in your lineup to flex him or put him as your RB2,
I like Gore this week.
You know, I would they're going up against Miami. I expect them to have a field day again. Like he said, anybody that's going up against Miami, they're definitely. Shit, I just picked up Mason Rudolph for the Monday night game that they're going to come back to.
Listen, there's two teams that you kind of want, 2 or 3 teams that you kind of want to pick on this year, and Miami's obviously the top one.
Easy.
After that, Washington is one of those teams that you usually want that have been really bad this year. If you're going against the Giants defense, you usually start them. So there's maybe 3 or 4 teams out there that
Patriots. None of them gave me shit last week. Not one of them.
So it's defense and Brady did, but. Listen, those are one of the teams that you usually want to start people against. So, With that being said, running back Jamal Williams from the Green Bay Packers had a great game last week. We saw Aaron Jones have probably one of the worst games that he's had in his career. He's still their starter, but he dropped a 33-yard touchdown pass. He fumbled. So just that alone, the 6 plus the
that was horrible.
The 6 plus the 3 for the receiving yards, that's 9.3. The fumble, he missed out on 11.3 points because of just mistakes. And not only that, he got benched for like most of the game because of that.
And
so
I'm
he
sure,
got 10
and I'm sure he lost a lot of people some games. Very important games too.
Because you're starting him because he had 4 touchdowns last week, so you're starting him. Like that hurt. And Jamal Williams came in. He had a great game. He scored a touchdown. He played very well. So I think there's a chance that Jamal Williams could get some more carries. I still don't think he's going to get more than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is still the starter there. He's a very talented back. But he may get more carries than did before. The thing I really suggest this for is if you have Aaron Jones, make sure you get Jamal Williams with him. Just in case he does it again and then they decide to switch up, then I definitely agree with that.
Right.
Moving on to another person that you may have seen in that Green Bay game, Allen Hazard. A lot of people are picking him up because of the game he had last week. And if Devontae Adams is out and Geronimo Allison is out, then I agree. Yes, pick him up. He may not be a superstar for you, but he'll be a good solid contributor along with Valdez Scouton on the other side. But if Devontae comes back or if Allison comes back, then he's not even worth the pickup. So it's very hard to judge him right now because there's so many questions on if Devontae Adams is going to play or not. I don't think he will. And then there's a question on if Allison's going to be playing. He has a concussion. Nothing's really come out on him yet. So as a safety, if you have an open spot, then I would say yes, pick up somebody like Allen Hazard.
Now let me ask you a question. Will Dissly, unfortunately gone for the season. Luke Wilson, is that a good pickup?
I'm not a big fan of Luke Wilson. He's going to be somebody that's going to be very inconsistent. So he's going to be somebody that'll get 30 yards receiving, so not much. Maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks he'll score a touchdown. So he's not really going to give you constant production. Like I said, this year is really hard for tight ends. So if you lost the tight end to injury, you're pretty much screwed for a while. Like I personally, I had Hunter Henry at the start of the year, and he was out for the whole year. I was trying to scrape across with people, whether it was Delanie Walker, who's been inconsistent, or last week the guy from the Redskins. First of all, Vernon Davis, and then he got hurt, and then I tried the third string Sprinkle from the Washington Redskins. So it's very hard if you have an injured tight end this year to even get any production. Luckily, the guy I was about to talk about next, Hunter Henry, came back last week.
Wow,
had a monster game, had 30 points in fantasy, 2 touchdowns, and he's ready to go. So if you were lucky enough to have either be able to keep him on your bench or stuff him in your IR spot, he's back now and fully ready to go, and he's going to be a top 5, at least top 10, if not top 5 tight end. So
I agree.
That's a huge boost to anybody that has him on your team. One other wide receiver that I want to make mention of, start picking up the Jets players. They're after this week, and it may be a little average next week because they play against Jacksonville, but their schedule.
They play New England, I believe.
Yeah, New England this week, Jacksonville next week.
Okay, yep.
But after that, their schedule flows. They play the Giants. They play Miami.
Oh wow,
they play.
That's right.
I think it's Cleveland. They play one game. They play. They play so many teams in a row. I think Washington they play. So they have a stretch of like 4 out of 5 games where they play like top 10 worst defenses. So start picking up the Jets. The guy I say to pick up is Robbie Anderson. He had the big game last week off Dallas. He went straight over the top. I think he can continue to do that over the next month. And lastly, I just want to spend. I'm always big on the defenses because they can be a big part of your team. 3 defense I want to mention this week. Buffalo, they've already been a top defense. Now they're going against Miami. San Fran, they're going against Washington. Listen, Washington's completely screwed up right now. They're going back to Case Keenum, so who knows what the hell they're doing, really.
Right.
And then Jacksonville versus Cincinnati, because Jacksonville does have an above-average defense, even though they just traded Ramsey.
Which is crazy.
But they got a lot for him. Like, to get 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick for a cornerback, that's a huge amount to get for somebody, especially when a cornerback isn't a left tackle or a center or a quarterback or a pass rusher. Like, those are the 4 most important positions. And so you're getting the 5th most important position, and you gave up 2 firsts and a 4th for him. Like, that's crazy.
And now the Rams are out without a first draft pick.
There'll be 5 years without them having a pick. Unless you trade back in.
Unless you trade back in, which is crazy, but hey, kudos to the Jags. They got what they wanted.
Yeah. So even with that, I still say pick up the Jags defense because Cincinnati isn't good at all, and we've seen that on live TV when they're on the Monday night game against Pittsburgh that they can't even move the ball.
No,
now their one saving grace is there's rumors that AJ Green might be coming back. Even if he comes back this week, he's not going to be 100%. He's not going to play the full amount of snaps. So I still say deploy Jacksonville's defense.
Yeah, take advantage of it right away.
So with that said, that's our show for the week. We will be back to you probably Sunday. We'll keep you updated on that, so pay attention to the Twitter. Go and subscribe to the page since you're watching us on YouTube. Go and subscribe. Also, we're on iTunes soon. We're on Spotify. We're on Spotify and Spreaker right now. You can go and follow us on there so you can make sure you never miss an episode. You can hear all the audios of all the shows and everything. So till Sunday, we'll catch you later. Peace. Damn, we gotta get some people on the show, start dancing.
Damn, hey, we're gonna be dancing to make some money, watch.
Yeah.
They got the little bachata thing. I thought that shit was from the bar.